time for Big D Energy with four-time Stanley Cup champ Darren McCarty, former Lion Joik Bell, and the golden voice of Neil Rule. Live on the Woodward Sports Network, 99.1 and 93.5 The Roar, the Woodward Sports app, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. Let's talk some sports. It's Big D Energy.
Hey, yo, welcome back. Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network. My name is Neil Rule. He's D-Mac, Darren McCarty back in the house. We got Fish in the fishbowl today. We got Sawyer on the ones and twos. A big what up, though, to everybody. Our YouTube chat thread. Appreciate you tapping in on there. Boy, Detroit Dabber 3-on-3 is always the first one in every single day, man.
You know what? We say this all the time, but it's the truth. Our fans on YouTube and stuff like this, the communication, the way that we interact is what it's all about. That's what I look forward to. So, good morning, Dabs.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate everybody tapping into the show. Don't forget, too, if you're listening on radio, 93.5 The Roar, Detroit's new all-sports alternative, 99.1 FM and 94.7 HD2. If you're HD radio elite, like I am, I always like throwing the HD signal on there. Pistons fell last night to Golden State, 102-86. It was not good at halftime. They did almost backdoor cover the spread, though.
It was not good.
It was not good at halftime.
How many times you said that this year?
We've said that quite a few times. Now, I will say this, where you could definitely tell, and I know that we're going to get that when we talk Pistons. We'll be talking Pistons, by the way, with Bryce Simon of the Motor City Hoops podcast.
I got questions, Bryce.
Absolutely. Questions. So Bryce will be tapping in for that. If you're a basketball elite, Bryce Simon, the Motor City Hoops podcast, and I know you're probably not supposed to push people away from the Big D Energy podcast or stuff like that, but if you're a Pistons fan, man, he's as good as there is. Played Division I college basketball. He's legit, man. Just a great basketball
You know what my
man.
opinion is, Neil? You compete with yourself, and if somebody's better and you like it, why can't you narrate that, and then it would be to... If it's a Woodward, if this is like, we all have preferences. It's okay, and you learn from somebody else. And if you want to be better, you get better. And better is, it's like wrestling. You like what you like. You know what I mean?
Right.
The way that it's explained to you. I'm sure that Brandon can explain things a little differently to me than my wife can. Right?
Oh, I guarantee that I'm married too.
Listen, they're both better basketball minds than I am, right? But it's just sort of where you get your information. So that's what we're going to do here, Big D. We're always just going to bring you information, and it's about the people. So I couldn't be more excited to find out the nitty-gritty, because we're going to get some answers to somebody who lives it.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of film study he does and everything like that. He's legit, people. Just trust me. I wouldn't bring him on here if he wasn't. Emerald Eyes says the Pistons are unwatchable right now. We'll discuss. We're going to get into all that. Somebody asked in the YouTube chat thread, D-Mac, what does your gear say? What are you wearing today?
This is my ICW No Holds Barred. This is from the Deathmatch Circus, but I'm propping this up because I'm heading to New Jersey on there you go, sir. I'm heading to New Jersey on Friday for Saturday's 2-year anniversary of the chains, and I can't wait. But even better is the back.
There he is, on brand.
On brand. Had to wear my wrestling shirt. We got big Steve coming in, Steve Moran from the world's greatest wrestling collection. So I got to represent.
Joey 2 says, hey guys, did you know the 32nd pick is more valuable than the 25th pick? Yeah, I was told that on Twitter, I guess. I don't know. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the week.
What the heck are you guys smoking? Pat, bring some down here. I want to know what you need to smoke.
The battles continue on.
Oh, there it is.
The battles continue on social media with that, Darren.
It's crazy, dude. It's crazy.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Can you play the sounder one more time? Just get me right.
Get him right. Look at the clock. Clock's not going to change.
Those are all the people that love Stafford. I'm sure you're aware there's a lot of Stafford
you know what?
people
That's okay.
that love Stafford.
Because, and you know what? Thanks, Fish, for bringing that up. And I've been told that a couple of times. And we're not going...
No, we're not.
Which, that's great. You want drama?
Yes, we
that's
are.
great
I'm
drama.
putting an embargo on Stafford talk.
Yes, we are going to go down that road, aren't we? No, Fish, you know what? I just had an epiphany, and that's why I'll discuss it for a couple of seconds. Because I do want to talk about something that went on at home yesterday that's kind of spilling over into today. But 2 minutes on this. 2 minutes on this, Fish. I'm going to make my point, and then we're going to get to what happened.
I'll lift the embargo for 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
There you go. 2 minutes. Go.
Fish, you said it, and it clicked. And I didn't think that there was such a thing. And it's all right. Again, I don't dislike Matt Stafford. I don't think he's a crappy football player or anything like that.
There's a war on Twitter right now about that.
Yeah.
A war.
I don't understand how Lions fans will say, I want to see Matt Stafford win at a cost to their organization. And there is a cost. I went through it yesterday, with the mock drafts and things like that. I showed you the players that would be out of play. You can't tell me that doesn't make a difference, all right? And you're right. There are Matt Stafford fans out there. There are. And that stuns me. And I can't wrap my head around it.
But it does make a difference, Neil. But here's the thing, right? If you're a fan that weighs the pros and cons of where your organization is at right now, can your fandom lean more to Stafford and let him have success this year, even though it affects you with the pick and it affects your team in the long run? Yes. The fan base that can say yes to have it both ways is because they don't have any expectations for the Lions, and they don't expect them to get better early. So it's just like, oh, okay, and it's having this decision and going, well, this is the way it usually is, and their fandom to Matt Stafford and wanting him to just succeed, and either to blame he was all lionized to whatever else, or to the fact that, hey, you know what? Stafford can win this year. We can get a later pick because
I can't relate to.
I know you can't.
Can't relate to that.
You can't relate to that. But if you want to explain the why, what people are saying and why they're thinking that is because they're not that diehard and they don't care enough about their team getting better quicker.
Yeah, all right, I got it. And look, Chuck Brewer says no more Stafford talk. We're not going to do this, all right? We're not going to go into segment after segment of it. We're not going to do that, okay? Joey says, it's brother against brother. What is the cost of this war? It is, man. This is as close to a civil war as we're going to have right here in Detroit.
I don't need your civil war.
Yeah, exactly. In just a little bit, we're going to talk to Steve Moran. He's the owner of the world's greatest wrestling collection anywhere, and he lives here in the Detroit area. We'll have him in studio. That'll be a fun little distraction from the whole Stafford gate and everything that is going on.
Don't you ever bring up wrestling and distraction in the same word. That is the greatest sport in the world. Why? Because I know that it's scripted, right? Sort of choreographed.
Yeah, that's the greatest word to describe it.
It's the stuntman's greatest dance.
It is.
At different ways. But see, here's the one thing. My disappointment is to the writer, the guy who decided it, Vince McMahon's WWE opera. We'll talk to Steve about it. There's nobody that I know that is greater versed in the WWF, WWE universe than my man Steve Moran. But the thing is here's the thing. You got to put it where it is. Take it for what it is, so you can be disappointed because they didn't write it out your way. But the fact is, the entertainment value is off the charts.
No, it is. And I like memorabilia. And I like, match used memorabilia and all that stuff, game used memorabilia. I like it. So I'm looking forward to talking to him.
Quick, old school growing up, WWE memorabilia. And I bet you it'll be interesting. Like, name a couple things before Steve comes in and see if he has it, but things that you remember, like the Macho Man's robe.
Yeah, Ric Flair's robes. You know what I remember, too? The wrestling figures. With the WWF wrestling figures. And remember, they had like the variants that weren't like regionally available, and King Kong Bundy was a hard one to find and all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to We're going to geek out. It'll be, it'll be a little
Dog's
bit.
Chain.
Yeah, we're going to geek out for a little bit, and that's fine. You need that. It's that or Stafford talk. And judging by what you guys have said right here, you choose the wrestling memorabilia discussion. Just anything but that, I guess you could say. Lions Rumble, great is the guilt of an unnecessary war, John Adams. So.
Hey, Jojo Rofo, what they did to what Vince McMahon just did to Walter, who I was trying to explain to Sawyer earlier. Walter, in my opinion, could come in and destroy Roman Reigns. He could, like, be a big guy with Brock Lesnar and all the big guys. If you watch him fight old school NXT, he's a monster. They brought him over to the new NXT. They changed his name to Gunther. No, it's just embarrassing. I mean, but again, that's Vince McMahon, and we see like, you know what? We're gonna do a wrestling podcast. So I get to talk all my wrestling eventually soon, so I don't bore the people that aren't appreciative of the greatest sport in the world. But the fact is that. Yeah, so to answer your question, I did see it, and I'm disgusted. Bully Ray, the great Bully Ray Hall of Famer, said it the best, is that, like, what did you just do to Walter? The most terrifying guy in the world. Anyways, thank you for my wrestling minute.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so with all that being said, so last night I was thinking about D-Mac because the furnace went out. Like it stayed on, but it was blowing out. It was blowing out cold air.
Excuse me, sir. Would you please rephrase that? When you got home in your Land Rover, you went in and your
the downstairs furnace. The downstairs furnace. One of the furnaces went out. Yeah. Thanks, D-Mac.
All right, big. No, I just wanted people to know that you do your job.
Well, I drove through the entrance. I passed the country club and drove through the entrance into the subdivision.
Key fob for the gate?
Do you have a gate?
There's no gate. No. I'm not Terry Foster.
He's got a key fob. It's too frozen. Like it's cold out right now. He can't get his hands dirty. Anyways.
We pay someone to stand out there and, open the gate as we pull up once it gets too cold,
You know what? That's the way it is. Anyways, you were thinking about me.
No, I was thinking about you because you talked about how if you didn't play hockey, that would have been your life.
Locked in.
Yeah, like that was going to be your life.
Can't quit or can't get fired or can't quit.
Yeah, because it's the family business. And I was thinking about it, and I have like a limited... See, here's the difference with me, right? Like you poke fun and everything like that. I'll get in there and try. Like I will. I'll watch a YouTube video like everybody else and cleaned out a couple of the condensing tubes and the condensing tank to make sure it wasn't blocked out and everything like that. It was making the rollouts. The rollout switch was tripping. The rollout switch. I'm not sitting on 20s though. All right, but the rollout switch did trip.
BS. Yeah. Anyways,
so I got the rollout switch. I cleaned out the tubing, the tank, all that stuff. I reset the rollout switch, put everything back together, fired up. It fired up, got warm, ran for about 2 hours, and then it was kicking out cold air again. And so I went through everything again, did it, fired it up, and did a little more research and found like the flames weren't going directly into the cone shape like they're supposed to be. So it's looking like it could be. It's looking like it could be bad news, D-Mac.
Oh, it could be bad news.
Like a cracked heater exchange or something like that. So,
are you one of those
anybody
people?
Need a commercial read? We don't need the new furnace. No, but listen. I'm very fortunate, right? Because you and I we're not mechanically inclined guys and stuff like this, but that's why I have Cheryl McCarty, and she is the queen of the YouTube, and she taught me how to change brakes, and I've learned so much. But if you would have called, I would have put her on.
No, I appreciate it.
She would have helped you fix it because like I said, and there's nothing wrong with the air conditioned refrigeration business, except when you're Darren McCarty and you're born into it, and it helps you escape because of motivation.
Because of motivation. No, exactly.
So I can't change anybody's furnace. Help you out.
And that's where, like, and here we go. We go from Snooty Sean to Snooty Neil. LOL.
I figured that would come
out. You knew that one was coming. All that stuff. That's where.
Do you have a house in Hawaii?
No, not yet. Oh, okay. I would like to at some point, though. But the moral of the story is this. So, the furnace tech is over at the house right now, kind of figuring out what the deal is. And those people, man, and I
we should have a live look in.
He's a friend. He's a friend of one of my wife's, the brother of one of my wife's teacher friends,
Yeah.
And so, like, I text him. I'm like, hey, man, I know you don't want to hear this right now because it's cold. And they're out there in those streets, man. And he's on like 16, 18-hour days, dude. Like, it's just, it is. Those people, man.
Winter's the worst.
They don't get a lot of credit, but those people.
They should.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Especially at this time of year.
Yeah, especially this time of year.
Well, it's the same thing. Is that when do you need the furnace repair guy? When the furnace goes out, you don't think about it. It's the air conditioner repair guy, same sort of way. But shout out to everybody who's out there doing it.
1,000,000%.
To that point, because who's got to be outside in these temperatures, to make things go well. So
Big Play J, narcissist Neil, Matt Carrier, Neil living the life I always wanted. See, no, it's not. I went in there, like I spent a couple hours in there, like doing
Couple
stuff
hours.
and getting hands dirty and stuff like that. It advanced to the level that was beyond my skill set, so I had to call in a professional that knows what he's doing. And I'm thankful for him for coming out and everything like that. I have an appreciation for that stuff. Tile guys, brick
Roofers.
guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Roofers,
like
they're a different
it's an
breed.
art. Like, but what they do is an art, man.
Oh, it absolutely is.
It's such a skill set. They
Drywall
have.
guys, you ever watch?
Yeah.
You ever watch a crew come in and put up walls to a house and the way the house symmetrical and the flow of that? The way
It's incredible. It's incredible to watch skilled people work, and I do kind of draw an equation to this, man. Like I've always said to you, like what I like about sports, the Connor McDavids and the Messis and all those guys. I like watching
Greatness.
excellence, greatness, and there's a degree of that to people that again do tile, furnaces, brick, stuff like that. They're skilled, man. They're skilled and they're impressive to watch work.
No, it absolutely is. And here's the thing, right? How grateful you are to even go through all that sort of stuff, but then to ask for help. And then to have somebody, that's the whole thing. Is it's the same thing as nobody wants a flat tire or whatever, but when they do, who's the tow truck guy they call it? Yeah. I'm going to give a shout out to my neighbor Gary because he's bailed me out. He's a tow truck driver, and it's nice to have a neighbor you can call. Thanks,
no,
Gary.
absolutely. It's just I appreciate the skill set. That's what I wanted to say. For everybody that's out there doing their thing, when somebody's really good at something, it's impressive to watch, man. It is, and I enjoy it, and I appreciate him coming on. I know they're working long days, and certainly too this weekend going to get cold again because that's the way it is here. And big shout out to them. I tell you what, I would like to do for him, but I know he's working right now. I'll pour him a gypsy on the rocks. Tonic, soda, whatever his flavor is. Maybe drop a line in there for him. 50 different formulas, countless taste tests. Gypsy, the best tasting, smoothest vodka on the market. Gluten-free, corn distilled 6 times, uses artesian spring water as well. No, fish. You already know, man. You already know. Support local guys from the state of Michigan. Gypsy Vodka, made in Petoskey, Michigan. Cool bottle. If you're into that kind of thing, I'm into good vodka. That's why I pour Gypsy in the glass. Club soda, couple limes, and we are on our way. Try a bottle today. Ask for it by name. It's Gypsy Vodka. As always, drink responsibly.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Detroit Sports on Demand.
DeAndre Swift, he's going to take it all the way for the touchdown. Open in the corner, he triples.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app today. Take us with you everywhere you go. Search Woodward Sports Network or WSN Live.
Back at it, off and running here, Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network. Neil Rule, D-Mac, Darren McCarty in the house. Fish and Sawyer along as well. Steve Moran will join us in a little bit. Owner of the world's greatest wrestling memorabilia collection. So we'll table the Stafford talk, guys. So I'll cut a deal with you. That's what it was. Canuck Duke said tile guys really underappreciated. They are, especially the good ones, man.
Well,
especially the good ones.
Absolutely, because what are these things we're talking about? You do right. You don't notice until it's done wrong or until it's a bad job, right? You know what I'm saying? And the pride. That's what I love. You talking about tile guys is that the pride that they take in that. Anybody who does that flooring stuff like that, that's an art.
No, it certainly is, and big ups to everybody. Epic says thank you, Neil. Well, I mean, it's just appreciating skill sets that people have. I know there's like a. And the reason I bring it up, D-Mac, is because there's like a feel there's like a stigma attached to it. Almost like a service-based economy type thing. And I'm not here for that, man. What are you gonna tell somebody that's got 20 years in the game, that's been in every heating and cooling scenario that's out there. What are you going to tell that guy, dude?
You're going to tell him,
be like me telling you about fighting in hockey.
Do you need me to hand you that wrench, sir?
Yeah.
Which one do you need? That's where you. And here's the one thing too, obviously, where it's like, don't tell me what, tell me who, but having somebody, and you see these guys, and here's an experience also too, where I had a veteran electrician coming around the house about a year ago. I was doing stuff outside, and he taught Cheryl everything that she needed to do everything moving on. So there's lessons to be learned. I like to watch people that are passionate about whatever they are. I don't have to like it, but I can appreciate what they like about it.
No doubt. And people are chiming in on the YouTube chat thread. eChef says if you're dealing with furnaces and natural gas, best to call a professional. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I looked up the due diligence, the easy stuff that you do, and you hope that that's the problem, but this time it wasn't. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted tomorrow as far as what the grim reality could be.
You'll have to huddle upstairs in the third floor furnace room.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's real chilly down there in the living room. The upstairs furnace, though, still going, but that's the way it is over at the Rule household. The MPWMU says learn a trade. It beats a humanities degree from a 4-year university. I've talked about that with my kids, man. Like the heating and cooling game, we've talked about before, companies that have advertised with us and stuff like that. That's never going away,
and they pay well too.
Well, I was thinking about that when I was calling the furnace guy. I'm like, he could literally charge any price right now.
Right.
And what am I going to do?
It makes you wonder, right?
It's like that scene of Wolf of Wall Street when he's like, "Sell me this pen," and his buddy goes, he takes a pen. He's like, "Here, write this down." He's like, "I don't have a pen."
For the youngest crowd out there, I guess the heating and cooling, electrician, plumbing, that's just the new Bitcoin and NFTs. Right? It's just sort of the same thing.
Canuck Duke never knew how much was involved in a proper tile job till I renovated my house last January. Tile, man.
Any of that stuff.
You got to be skilled to
They're
do tile.
They're expensive, too.
As they should be. Because I go back to it, too, because my wife and I sometimes argue about that, where, like, I don't care what they charge.
No, right.
You know what I'm trying to say.
I'm exactly. If I want it, and it's quality and whatever like that, then I'm willing to pay for it. Right, I'm willing to pay for it, right? I'm willing to. I'm 100% with you. I
mean, because I just go back to what I would charge for it. Because the job, like a tiling, I've done it before. I've tiled the floor. It sucked. Let's bottom line it. It sucks, and you're on your hands and knees and doing all that stuff. So yeah, I would charge somebody $100 an hour.
A big jigsaw puzzle.
For my time, I would charge them $100 an hour to do it, especially if I was good. Like that, it's worth it to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
You actually did that by yourself? You had was it a big room?
At my old house, my father-in-law and I tiled the kitchen into the laundry room and stuff like that. It's not hard. It's just monotonous.
Yeah. You
know what I'm saying? I would say it was probably about
repetitive.
Yeah, 300 to 400 tiles that we laid down.
And then you got to cut them, and then you got to
it's easy when you're in the middle of the floor.
Right.
Yeah.
It sucks when you got it, and you don't realize like the corners of the walls.
You got to cut the tile like quarter way.
The counters and the island and the fridge and the stove and the laundry room and the door molding and all that stuff. Like it's repetitive, man. It's hard as hell.
So how long did that take? 5 hours, 6 hours?
Oh, I don't even remember. Not as it took us longer than a pro, obviously. Okay. But we did.
I thought you were a pro.
Not at that.
Oh, okay.
Not at that.
Self-awareness,
D-Mac, yeah.
But that's the thing. Here's the thing, right? Don't tell me what, tell me who. And at the end of the day, when it's supply and demand or trade, like you nailed it right there. I'm happy with what I have to pay. I don't care what it is. If I look and say that number seems feasible for what I'm going to get in return, and the fact that sometimes after you do this, after you've YouTubed the furnace, after you've done the tiles, you have more of an appreciation. So sometimes too, it's a little something for the effort, right?
Yeah, a little something for the effort.
It's the same thing, right? Is when I see that I get like the Uber driver or whatever, like in the same area or what it is that they do a good job. The first thing I do is tip the driver, make sure they know that I see them,
right?
And it's nothing. What is it, $5 or something like that, $10? But it's just something that I think that the compassion and people need to know.
No doubt. Big Play Jay says, got a cousin in Florida that does HVAC for a company and does it on the side outside of work, easily grossing 6 figures. And I believe that. And It's justified, man, because it's like the athlete thing. People don't realize there's only a finite amount of people with that high level of skill.
There you go.
That's what it is.
And when do you realize that? When you're in need, when you're in dire need, not before. It's not the preparation, right? So it's sort of like, for lack of a better term, they're the ambulance, right? You're calling the ambulance, and so in understanding supply and demand, take that into consideration with what you're going to learn. Because it could help you. Like you said, you don't have to make it your main goal, but if you can do that, then think about how you can make a couple extra dollars doing it for the neighborhood or, just little things like that.
Lions Rumble. Ooh, look at that sunshine in Birmingham. Yeah, there's this big yellow disc in the sky today, and I'm not really sure why it's out like all of a sudden.
Armageddon.
Yeah. I don't know. It's really weird.
It's actually nice, but it's going to drop 40 degrees by Saturday. So
that's why it's big time. The furnace guy came out to it was about 61 downstairs last night. I wasn't gonna call him at 11 o'clock at night though.
60 degrees? It's terrible.
Grab him.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna do it at that time. Coming up around 12 o'clock in the beginning of the second hour, we'll be joined by the host of the Motor City Hoops podcast, Bryce Simon. And coming up in just a couple minutes when we get back for the break, as promised, we'll be joined by Steve Moran. He's the owner of the world's greatest wrestling memorabilia collection. Really looking forward to having this discussion with Steve when we come back. I know he watches the show, too, so we'll talk about...
Studio, brother.
He's in studio, brother. That's right. It's about the training, the saying the prayers and watching Big D Energy.
Oh, he's had his vitamins. Don't worry about that, brother.
We'll talk to Steve when we come back here in just a couple minutes. It is Big D Energy right here on the Woodward Sports Network. And look, guys, you're watching these football games. You're watching these basketball games. Last night with the Pistons, as the game was going on, you could tap in, live bet it. We know the Pistons were down 35. It's the NBA. Teams are going to come back on it. Hope you jumped in on it. With mybookie.ag. And right now, they'll double your first deposit all the way up to $1,000 with the promo code Woodward. That's right. Use the promo code Woodward. They'll double your first deposit all the way up to $1,000. NFL playoffs are here. March Madness is right around the corner as well. There's no question that you're going to be getting down on these games, so do it with mybookie.ag. And look, everybody's running deposit bonus promotions and stuff like that. My bookie's stepping up to the plate with the double your first deposit up to $1,000. But let me go deeper. And some of you guys out there know this already. It's about the interface. It's about how smooth the site works. That's really the key in all of this, how easy it is to look at all those types of things. MyBookie.ag, smooth as it gets, everybody. And they have all the parlays and the live bets and all that kind of stuff. Pretty much anything you want to get down on. UFC will be back in effect, I believe, coming up this weekend as well. So if you want to get down on that, you can do it at MyBookie.ag. Again, double your first deposit with the promo code Woodward all the way up to $1,000. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Have a problem with gambling? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline, 1-800-270-7117.
Everything that we've hoped for, finally.
He's going deep, right side. Oh, that is Edwards out there. He goes up in the air at the goal line.
Hey, it's Brandon Edwards here, wanting to welcome the sports marketing agency to Woodward Sports Network, to the family. Glad to have you guys. For the last decade, the sports marketing agency has literally leveraged athletes around issues such as mental health and substance abuse.
It's all happening now.
Your Detroit alternative to the normal sports blah, blah, blah. It's Woodward Sports.
Back at it here, Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network. Neil Rule, D-Mac, Darren McCarty here in the house. And right now in studio, as promised, we're joined by Steve Moran. Now, he's the owner of the world's greatest wrestling memorabilia collection. Kind enough to pull up on us here on Big D Energy. Steve, appreciate your time. What's going on, brother? How are you?
God bless you. How you folks doing today? It's Motor City Madness style. GWC, Woodward Sports Situation Station, folks.
I love it. I love
the energy, man. I love it.
I'm fortunate enough to call Steve a friend and been over to the museum and stuff to talk about wrestling. But the big thing we're going to start here is because it's about the community and stuff like that. And February 5th, is the fish fiasco, frozen fish fiasco down at Clark Park. And you, sir, the GWC, are the title sponsors. There's the belt right there. Every year, Neil, they give away a belt. The last 2 years, I've been belt collecting. I need that one on my mantle. I am coming for that belt. I do belt collect in the Clark Park alumni hockey games, so we do know that. But I want from you, sir, being a Detroit resident, being a lifelong guy, sports fan, everything, what does it mean to you? And talk a little bit about why you decided to get behind the frozen fish fiasco down at Clark Park.
You got it, brother. Well, first of all, thanks for having me here, fellas.
Microphone?
Yeah.
Thanks for having me here, fellas. I had to mic up real quick.
Yeah.
We're all good in the hood. I do appreciate that. It means a lot to me being part of the frozen fish fiasco down at Clark Park. I got to give a shout out. Got to give a shout out to Mess Bucket Comics, Big Dom out there. It's going to be a beautiful thing out there. We're bringing it back to the city. It's a charity hockey game, and it's all full circle over there because there's more than one Motor City madman besides Ted Nugent, folks. And let me just tell you that. So. And we like to keep it official like a referee to whistle out there. And that's just what we know how to do. And I'm pumped to be a part of it. I'm pumped to be rocking with it. And it's a beautiful thing out there. 313, stand up.
So, Steve, let me ask you this, man. And again, we talked about it. I mean, just 100,000, literally, artifacts in your home. As we said, the greatest wrestling memorabilia collection going. You were on WWE's Most Wanted Treasures.
Got it, brother.
Take us through that experience. So my understanding was you had one of Mankind's original Sockos. So
I've seen it.
Yeah. Before we get into that episode, how did you get possession of one of Mankind's original Socko puppets?
So here's the deal: the GWC Greatest Wrestling Collection. I've been collecting 30 years strong out there, which is kind of wild. Like I said, young age, I'm keeping stuff in packages. And it just snowballed into something that got kind of wild. I'm big into ring-worn items, memorabilia, one-of-ones, autographs, stuff that ties in nostalgia. I'm all about preserving the nostalgia, though. So and we get to share it with everybody out there, share it with the wrestling world out there, all the fans, and something we all love. And about 15 to 17 years ago is when I started really getting a little serious with it, and I'm chasing down memorabilia all over the country. Had to get a separate house for just the collection itself, which was I rehab properties in the city of Detroit. I love the city. I keep everything in the city. So that's my bread and butter. I bought the house I grew up in. My childhood home on the west side of Detroit was on the demo list 3 years ago, being torn down. And I said, this is a perfect location for the GWC. If I'm all about the nostalgia, why not bring it over there where I grew up? And next thing you know, it's room to room to room, and it's floor to ceiling. That's how we're feeling out there. It's wild.
What's your favorite item? And what do you have one?
No, Steve, and you got to pick one, Steve. You got to pick one,
or maybe like a couple because
no, D-Mac, put him on the spot. He's got to pick one. If the place was on fire and you could only grab one, what are you grabbing?
Wow, it hits me with the hardest.
Yeah.
When people ask me this, and I say this, it's like picking my favorite kid. I got 3 beautiful kids at home. Shout out to Amelia Carter, Penny, wife Danielle. But you know what? It's picking one item. If I had to run in. I might grab one of Ric Flair's robes. I might grab. I had it on. I'd say it's either Macho's coat, his Wembley Stadium coat, or it's one of his Tokyo Wembley Run robes. It's just these items are. You look at them, they give you chills just by looking at them. And I say this all the time, but when you put these items on, maybe I'm not putting everybody's trunks on out there, so don't get it twisted, okay, folks? But I had Ultimate Warrior ring-worn tassels and gear came in last week. And I'm putting them on my arms, and the energy that it gives you is undescribable. And it's I'm blessed to be able to share the passion with everybody. But now to call some of these legends, a lot of them are good friends of mine, and it's that's as full circle as it gets out there, folks. I mean, that's it.
So I did want to go back to it though. So how did you get the Mankind Socko? One of the original Socko puppets. How did you get that in your possession? I guess is my question.
The thrill of the hunt out there is something that can't give up all the secrets of the trade. It's fair. Not really. I won't say it's secrets of the trade, but it's
a relationship business. You're saying?
Yep, 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
Yep, D-Mac. No, yeah, you don't. Yep, it's you build relationships with the people out there. I'm always on the hunt. I love it. I mean, as I was at Brooklyn Brawler. Steve Lombardi, who was Brooklyn Brawler. Kim Chi, which was the manager of Kamala. He was Abe Knuckleball Schwartz. He painted his face like the baseball mid-'90s. He's local to Michigan. He's about an hour outside the city. I was at his house Monday, and his wife was bringing me out all kinds of memorabilia from I bought the kimchi. Actually, he hooked me up with the kimchi outfit. Kamala's 1980s and early 90s ring-used music that's on tape. Some people would say, hey, what? That's not nothing crazy. To me, it's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it's the tape, the cassette they would travel, WWF would travel around the world with and use, you know. It gives me goosebumps thinking about it. And then
I think from my observation of knowing Steve and being around, where a lot of us, and I'll say being a retired hockey player, you know, that's been out of the game, has some memorabilia, nostalgia, it's the relationship. It's the person because these wrestlers, these retired guys and stuff know that he's there to preserve, right?
He's not flipping the stuff, looking to make money off of it.
No. What he's doing is trying to figure out a way to bring it to the new generation and all the stories that he's able to tell, you know, and stuff like that. So bottom line, when I say don't tell me what, tell me who. So it's these relationships and it's something, I guess it's a lesson of life over time, right? Because it's how you treat people. And then they see this. And then these guys, to appreciate, you know, the love and compassion that he has for their business and stuff like this. Let me ask you this.
Sure, D-Mac.
What's your favorite era of wrestling?
I mean, if we're talking...
Because here, let me give people an idea.
Yep, sure.
When you walk into your childhood house, which is a museum, the GWC.
Correct.
There is wrestling playing nonstop, 24/7 in every room, whatever it's the tape. I mean, the vibe there, the little guys. Like, how many figurines do you have?
I mean, there's over 150,000, 146,000. Guinness Book of World Records just reached out to me. Shout out to Guinness Book of World Records. They're coming in March. Biggest wrestling memorabilia collection worldwide. They're bringing the plaque through. It's just over 150,000
in all the different rooms.
Items.
And I do a quick access, and it's like it's unbelievable that it's not more. It's unbelievable.
Sure.
So what's your favorite era of wrestling?
I mean, that's an easy one for me, and I got love for all the eras out there. I really do, because they all bring something different to the table, dynamic-wise, wrestling-wise. I'm golden era, and if folks out there might not know wrestling lingo or wrestling terms, golden era would be 80s, early part of the 90s. 80s, that's golden era. Then you get the Attitude Era, which was awesome too. Stone Cold, Rock, everybody, McFoley. You get into the, you know, there's all different generations or eras, but I go, you gotta keep it. You got to keep it official out there, folks. It's Golden Era, WWF block logo. And I always rock a little ring worn with me. But this tied it into a little Detroit madness we got. Hogan wore this in 1994 at Joe Louis Arena for Halloween Havoc against Ric Flair.
Oh, that's big time, man.
I brought it through because I said the Joe. You know, we can tie the Joe together. You know, D-Mac's in the building. That's how we're feeling. And at the end of the day, it's a beautiful thing out there, folks.
Talking to Steve Moran here. He's the owner of the world's largest wrestling memorabilia collection, kind enough to come here in studio. And you know, we have a YouTube channel and YouTube chat thread that's going on. I mean, messages just firing through. Epic says, I like this guy. I like this guy already. Love his energy. That's
God bless you.
Yeah, that's a lot of the sentiment that's going on. DMAP Zoom says, I would love to see this. I would love to see this collection. Now, it's not an official museum that's quote-unquote open to people, but you have a YouTube and a Facebook and stuff like that. Tell people how they can see it.
Now, folks, here's the deal. Now, museum isn't open to the public quite yet. There is going to be a public building, and it is going to be out there open to the public, and I'm going to be doing things from tours. I'm bringing in all my brothers that we're talking about. If you guys want a amazing situation that's going to be going down in a couple months here. It's going to be open to the public. But as for now, it's just I do some VIP tours for a couple people and do some private events there, I should say. But you be ready for the next couple months because the GWC movement is here. Ain't going nowhere. only place to go to the top, and that's where we're at, folks. So we're rocking and rolling together out there.
Where's the best place? YouTube, Twitter,
so if you want
to follow you.
I do my Facebook Lives on GWC Greatest Wrestling Collection page on Facebook. It's with the GWC logo there. Instagram, WWE made me a Twitter when the show came. I'm not great with social media, folks. I love turning up. But the social media thing I'm not great with. But the Facebook groups, I go live a couple days a week in the museum. I do in museum tours, walking around, unboxing rare items. We get into. I have a couple things up my sleeve if I was still wearing my coat out there, folks. I got some treasures to share with you, and I got a couple things I'm bringing to the public that I think they're going to really enjoy, show-wise, I should say.
Yeah, I joined the Facebook page yesterday. As a matter of fact, I jumped on there. I tapped in. My son's
there you go.
My son's a big wrestling dork
Neil,
too. You know, like he fully admits it. You know, like he loves it.
Sure.
And I'll tell you this. You know, you talk about nostalgia and stuff like that. I was a big wrestling fan growing up in that same time frame that you were as well. And I've talked about DMAC with this before. I like it because he likes it, and it's something that we kind of enjoy together.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, it wouldn't matter what he liked. You know, I would make an attempt to be involved with it.
Sure.
But I'm happy it's wrestling. You know what I'm saying? It's great. It is.
It really is. And I'm going to piggyback off that. When you tie it all together and you get you got people from everywhere. I have people from Sydney, Australia. I have people from all Europe, Great Britain. They're all over the place, east to west, to show them why we're the best out there. All over the United States. And one thing we all have that share in common is the love and passion for wrestling.
Yeah.
So just like you said, it brings it back. We can go back, takes you back into, hey, I was at WrestleMania 3 at the Pontiac Silverdome.
As was I.
I can think, rest in peace, my
Hogan
grandson.
slams Andre.
The biggest body slam heard around the world, folks.
But greatest match, arguably.
Ricky Steamboat, Macho Man.
Thank you.
Macho Man.
And I could say that wholeheartedly, just because of the technicality of the match. If you're breaking it down, it was just the chemistry in the ring. And, you can go to SummerSlam. You can go to 93 with the, British Bulldog and Bret Hart. They put on some great clinics together. And I can go back into days of Ric Flair and Steamboat bouncing around the squared circle together. It's, great history to all to be able to share together. It's a beautiful thing out there.
So, Steve, again,
Yes, sir.
had title sponsor GWC for the Frozen Fish Fiasco.
You got
Everybody
it.
come out for February 5th and stuff. Are you going to be bringing some memorabilia to people to take a peek at down there?
Now, I was going to bring some memorabilia with me today.
Belts?
Now, what's that? Sorry, D-Man.
I was wondering if you're going to, people are going to get to see anything's live.
Sure. You know what? I might bring a couple robes out there, maybe a barbed wire bat or something. I was talking to my buddy Big Dom, and I said, I should have brought a smorgasbord of stuff here for you guys today. But, next time, folks, GWC ain't going anywhere. So next time maybe I'll have to bring a couple things. But Frozen Fish Fiasco, I'm bringing my brother, the Godfather, WWE legend.
Pimpin' ain't easy, baby.
Pimpin' ain't easy. Come aboard the smoke train, folks. It's the Godfather's going to be in the building, also known
Corey
as Papa
Popped.
Shango.
Yeah.
Corey
Kama.
Popped.
So he's going to be in the building. We'll be at 9 Planets Comics and Collectibles February 5th, doing a signing from 11 to 3. And then that night game down at Clark Park is one I'm really looking forward to it, folks. So
Me too. I got to add to the belts.
Yeah,
Yes.
no doubt. Well, Steve, I appreciate you pulling through. And
God bless you.
For real, man, whatever we can do to promote stuff you got going on, man,
Steve,
don't be a
so
stranger.
I'm just going to tell you right now,
Talk
when
about
this museum, the new one, the downtown,
Yes, sir.
whatever, we're going to
Yes.
have to do a live interview down there going
Yes.
all through it.
All the way.
Sounds
Oh, yeah.
sounds like
All the way.
a grind time production,
Yes.
if not a big D and stuff. But
I'm with that,
appreciate
D-Mac.
your friendship, appreciate
Yeah.
your passion,
You
your
got it,
love,
brother.
and you know what, like I have a friend, I call her the curator. Right, Sophia's my curator.
Sure,
and
sure.
You are the curator of everything for young and old. And you know what? If
God
Neil
bless
plays
you.
his cards right, we're gonna give you a call and bring his son out because
Yeah.
I think that'd be
Oh,
a
you
great.
love it. Yeah.
A great.
Nice.
You want to bring because that's what it's all about. And at the end of the day, forget. Take the kayfabe off the table.
Sure.
It's the connection that you can have with people, not only around the country, but in your own family. Because
Yes.
wrestling passes down. And like what you like. That's what it is.
That's all
like
it is.
what you like. Don't worry about what anybody else likes. Like what you like. And for sure, if you think it's out there, you've seen it, check out GWC on Facebook and check out my man Steve because he's got it.
One love. I appreciate that. You know, I'm real quick before we slide out of here. That's one thing that's really humbling to me. I get messages from all around, and people say we appreciate what you do for the wrestling community, and it's really humbling to me. And I love all yous out there for that. And you know, it's a wrestling fan. They had a different shadow over them at one time, and now it's a different thing. If you know what I'm talking about. But folks, all of you keep it triple seed out there. That's cool, calm, and collected, and always in that right direction. Love all yous.
Steve Moran bringing the energy, owner of the greatest wrestling collection in
Let's
the world.
go, folks. It's go time, baby.
All right. Appreciate Steve coming through.
For that
This
belt,
won't be,
baby.
I promise you guys.
Let's go.
I promise you guys, this won't be the last time Steve's on. This guy's infectious, man. The energy is infectious. We certainly will have him back on. There is no doubt about it. Planet Fitness, home of the judgment-free zone, where you can work out in a non-intimidating, judgment-free atmosphere. Membership right now running special, $0 down. That's zero. $10 per month. Black card available too at $22.99 per month. I roll the black card myself. You know, you get the massage and the massage chairs and all that stuff, but the thing for me, access to over 2,000 locations worldwide, unlimited guest privileges as well. You can join in club or online at www.planetfitness.com. Now open Midtown Detroit at the Detroit Pistons Performance Center as well. Planet Fitness also hiring all positions. You want to get in the fitness world? This could be the play for you. For more information, visit planetfitness.com. We'll be back with more Big D Energy right here on the Woodward Sports Network.
It's not what I'm up to, Okerlund. It's what it all comes down to. And what it all comes down to is this. Money isn't everything. It's the only thing. And everyone has a price for the $1 Million Man.
I'm Kay Cunningham. Working with Hall Financial to purchase my first home was easier than I could have ever imagined. They treated me like family from start to finish. Find out for yourself at callhallfirst.com.
And a miraculous catch.
Follow us everywhere. Just search Woodward Sports on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, IG, and more.
Back at it, Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network. Neil Rule, D-Mac, Darren McCarty. Once again, big shout out to Steve Moran for coming on and talking about the world's biggest wrestling memorabilia collection. I'm pulling through there, D-Mac. I'll ring that bell and we'll get out there.
It's amazing. Corey, you want to come too? We'll see. Just give me a head shake. Do you see what they did to Walter last night? No, we don't. I just want to know that. What did you tell me yesterday? I thought right away, Vince being Vince, right? That was Vince being Vince. Anyways, Corey and I, you know what? We're gonna start chopping up wrestling. I don't care. When I come back full time. When I come back full time off of my hiatus, doing
we'll
all
get
my
you a wrestling
business.
minute.
I'm getting my wrestling. This is enough's enough. I mean, you got Steve Moran in here. I'm all fired up right now.
You are,
He
man.
brought
Well,
the energy.
Steve
he brought
has
the
that
Hulkster's
effect,
energy
man.
in the shirt. You got Corey over here just shaking his head because he knows that they turned Walter into Gunther, and it's just, oh my God, Vince being Vince. So, anyways, now we can go back to talking all that boring garbage. Although it's not boring garbage because you know what, Neil, I think we're going into something that you've always said about the draft capital and the eye test and what you see, and something that we saw that the whole league, the whole world, the whole NFL saw, right? Was a few of our guys that got playing time got some awards.
Yeah, absolutely they did, and Pro Football Focus came out with their all-rookie team, and lo and behold, a couple of Detroit Lions on there. Penei Sewell, Aiden McNeill.
Was that, I guess, the Penei Sewell sort of, not expectations, but the way that he was graded all year, the way that we heard, obviously, playing from left to right to doing what he did, that's not shocking. But then Aiden McNeill, quietly, obviously, being noticed inside line stuff like this. I'll tell you this. I remember a conversation I had with DetroitLions.com, the dean, Mike O'Hara, at the beginning of the year in training camp, and I asked him, and I said, "Who does anybody out there, impress you or whatever?" And he said this, Neil. This is a quote, paraphrasing from Michael here, because I could never get a quote right. But the fact that he said is that Aiden McNeill, the most dominance and impressed that he's been with since Bubba Baker back in '78.
And he's seen them all.
And he's been there since. So you got to understand, Michael Harris seen more bad Lions football than anybody, right? Since '76, he's been covering this team. So my point is, not only, that's why he's the dean and he knows what he's talking about. But I think that a lot of times the meat and potatoes guys, when we're talking the offensive line, the defensive line doesn't get their flowers, so to speak, as they should. But this time, if we're at the beginning of the year saying, what is the identity of this team going to be, and it's going to be the line, and when you come out and two of your guys have gotten flowers, congrats, Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, offensive coordinator, Anthony Lynn, whoever else, great job. I mean, for a team that won 3 games, right? You got two guys.
Right.
Like, let's take everything into account where we're trying to look, okay. So in saying that, right, Neil, in saying that, hearing this news softens the blow of the Rams winning. Of the Rams, your draft choice, because you know what? It's more of, all right, they seem to know the best available guy when it comes to him. Hence these two, hence waiting on Amon-Ra St. Brown with the season he had, getting him in the 4th round. So it's about the future, and I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Aiden McNeill, too, 3rd round pick. And the question, I look questions up there, did Amon-Ra St. Brown get snubbed? You got to remember, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle.
So it's the eyeball test, right? So right, who are they going against or whatever? It's not a shot. Right, it's like your Steve Yzerman point back in the late '80s. Third best player that you never know because you got Gretzky and Lemieux you're playing behind, right? But what we saw with the eyeball test, where everybody says, "Oh, he's our best rookie." Look at the stats, look at the way that he's progressed. He's, I'm talking about. He's got that relationship. It seems that Matt Stafford has with Cooper Kupp, that 1-to-1 that you need with that little slot receiver that Tom Brady always had. So. So there's 3 guys, Neil. There's 3 guys. There's your 1st, your 3rd, and your 4th.
Boom.
Not boom. Boom!
But that's my point, though, about the draft capital.
Absolutely.
It's the only way out.
And it's the only way out, but it's also, too, is that you're looking at, it's almost like playing some sort of board game. Let's say,
like Settlers of Catan?
Settlers of Catan. Now, I'm speculating because I've never played the game, but let's just say as the round goes on and I make it through and I get what I want, well, if I started with 10 and now I have 9, right, that works. Well, I have more assets to work with, right? That's what we're seeing from Brad Holmes, from the Lions, is that their assets and the people that they're putting in play or deciding to hang their flags on are producing. And it's not about being an all-star. It's not about getting a trophy or whatever. It's about minutes, stats, things like that. So, again, you got to be happy as a Lions fan that there's progress. I'm not ecstatic. I'm just happy that I'm not in the mud. Feel like the mud's that feels like I can shake my shoes off now with a little bit of wet. Thank goodness, because it's cold out and I'm freezing my toes.
No, but it's impressive to see because we're not used to that, man. And that's why, for me, look, no one's been more critical of the Lions through the last 20 years than I have, man. You can ask my buddy. I talked about my friend Dennis, who's a terminal Lions fan. There's no cure. There's no cure for his Lion fandom.
Terminal Dennis.
And he used to get mad because I would rail on him and stuff like that. But there's something different here. There is, and I know people have said that before, but I have stuff to point to. Like that graphic you see on the screen. Aiden McNeill, Penei Sewell named a Pro Football Focus All-Rookie team, and Amon-Ra St. Brown was honorable mention only because, Jamar Chase, who changed the Bengals organization, and Jalen Waddle, who was incredible all year long as well. That's why. This is why, guys. This you can't talk about this in a press conference. This isn't a cliche. There's data that supports all this.
So there's that data, right? And I look back because when I talk about culture, and I'm a huge believer in culture and sport, right? And you look like as you're talking, I'm just sitting here and going, man, you look at how talented the Dallas Cowboys are. 11 penalties, how undisciplined they are. They don't have any culture. They got so much talent, no culture, right? We are so far ahead here, I believe, in the Lions, unless the Dallas Cowboys. Now, they can put culture in place and if guys buy in, but I don't think so, because what you're doing is you're building at the foundation, right? Instead of on sticks and, with straw, like the Three Little Piggies, now it seems like there's a foundation in your basement where your furnace is. That's brick. That's what it is. That's what I feel like after this season. There's a brick basement foundation.
Yeah. Steve Baffey says McNeill's going to make a bigger impact long term than St. Brown. Not sure why people have not already noticed him, and he has been rock solid. And again, you talk about flowers. You don't get flowers when you're in the interior defensive line. You don't get them.
That's the one question that I'd ask. And I'd ask our impeccable reporting genius that's seen more games than anybody, Corey Woods, is like, did you see this? Because the interior line is one of these things that you have to pay attention to. Now, if you know names and you're told this guy this on the offense, but Corey, did you send here he is, Corey Woods,
what up?
Woodward Sports. Yeah, look at it. What up? Did you see this comment? Like, was this surprise to you, the Lee McNeill or whatever like that, or did you see that? There's something that he did enough, or the effectiveness?
No, I didn't. It wasn't a shock to me. You saw it coming, but man, as quickly as it did come together, I didn't think it was going to come together that quick. I was thinking like maybe year 2 or 3. I mean, that's what a lot of the projections were. But the thing about it is the Lions had to throw this guy into the fire, and you saw quickly he progressed. Aaron Glenn got a lot of those undrafted free rookies and the drafted rookies, of course. They got a lot of those guys buying into the program, and you said it earlier, it was about the culture. It took a while to get together, but the thing about it is that the Lions, Neil, you talked about this. You said you're a big Lions critic,
right?
For all time, long time. The Lions did something different with this rebuild that I've seen them do differently before. They actually tore everything down to the ground instead of just doing band-aid jobs. Okay, we're gonna get this guy here, and then we're gonna get this guy, we're gonna get this coach, we're gonna be here. No. They tore it all the way down to the basement and said, look, they said it without saying it, let's just suck.
That's why I tell people to temper this free agency period. Easy, guys. They're not band-aiding this thing, and they're not gonna fall for the fruit. You know what I'm saying? Like I believe, this is me, and you can tell me, you're around a lot more than I am. I'm of the opinion that they will, I don't want to say sit out free agency, but they will be very, very drawn back in what they do in free agency, because I think that there's some work they want to do financially to the team. Like there's a personnel element to it, and then there's a financial element to it. You can't do it all at once.
I think anybody looking for this team to take a leap in year 2, I think the leap you should look for is they won 3 games this year. Look for 6, 7 this year.
Yep, and then 23.
And then the next year after that, then you should expect playoff expectations by year 3. Right now, I still think in year 2, it's still going to be some growing pains. It's still going to be a building process, because they're trying to build this thing from the ground up. They're getting rid of all of the old remnants of the same old Lions mentality. They're trying to create a new identity, a new culture, because the thing about it is, if you're really going to rebuild or just build this team in general, because you can't rebuild something that's never really been there per se.
Right.
Here's this quick point, something to think about, and this is more imperative. To me, it seems that Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn are more joined at the hip, and it's the fact, can we keep Aaron Glenn? Because that seems where the culture, maybe early on you thought it was Anthony Lynn had something, but no, these two. And the thing is, can Aaron Glenn commit to the culture for the 3-year plan without getting tucked away? So future talk to think about. But
I also think you need to add Deuce Staley in there. I think it's like a 3-headed monster, because when you, just in my opinion, I can't speak about anybody else, but I listen to certain things that are said and how they're said. You can kind of see that Dan Campbell, Deuce Staley, and Aaron Glenn are on the same wavelength about grinding, juice, building from the ground up, putting the hard work in, seeing tangible results.
Well, Corey, all that stuff's cool. They're drafting dudes.
Yeah.
That's all I go. That's all I go by.
No, but they're drafting dudes. But the whole thing is, to my point, what you don't have in Dallas, what you have here is you got three great minds, like that synergy. Because we're seeing it, and the players
it's all Brad Holmes.
They're drafting towards the identity.
Yeah. It's all Brad Holmes.
And then
it goes from there.
Right. He's okay. Yes, both things can be true. Can we not say that Holmes is putting the right pieces to the mentality of what these three men are building?
Yeah, absolutely. Corey, appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
WoodwardSports.com. Check out Corey's stuff on there. Wrote a good Stafford piece, so give that one a read. When we come back, we'll be joined by Bryce Simon. He's the host of the Motor City Hoops podcast. We'll talk some Pistons, folks. Last night notwithstanding, we are going to talk some Pistons when we come back. I know Sawyer, though, is going to talk to you about mystery beer vending machines, among other things.
Oh, yeah. I mean, among other things. You know me. When I'm not playing Settlers of Catan and, I'm not playing my PC, grinding out some video games or hitting the mountain at Mount Holly, I'm at the Folding Warehouse, getting it in, knocking down those pins, teaching them a lesson about just what I do there, I'm serious when I'm there. So you got to go in there. You got to go to the mystery beer machine. They have two of them there, 2 full bars in the massive warehouse, over 100 beers. So if you don't want to risk your $2, even though it wins every time, I got the PBR in the old Milwaukee. You already know. Braylon got the Colt 45. But if you don't want to risk it, just get one of their 100 beers. You can get whatever you want. Endless opportunity, endless surprise every time you go there. It's fantastic. As I said, the warehouse is gigantic, so you can literally play anytime. Show up, pay $10, unlimited play, open to close all day, or you can rent a lane for $120 for a private reservation for corporate events, Christmas parties. We had our Woodward party there, family reunions, or just get-togethers with your friends. My fraternity brothers and I would go to the location down in Indianapolis, so it's really can't miss fun. Great way to spend a Saturday night. Watch some playoff football, catch the Daytona 500, watch Formula One races, watch soccer. I know Fish is into that. So you can do whatever you want there. It's a great time. So do me a favor, guys. Go to foldingwarehouse.com or go to the Folding Warehouse in Hamtramck today. We got Neil Rule on the desk, D-Max back, Fish in the audio booth, making sure we sound pretty. I'm over here dreaming about Settlers of Catan. We'll be right back with a nice Bryce Simon interview here on the Woodward Sports Network.
6 dark corners, a driveway and a patio, 5 windows that could become doors. Every house has unique security challenges. Guardian Alarm has more tech, more team, and more ways to help keep them all safe. Get a professionally designed and installed security and smart home system from Guardian Alarm. Sign up today and get a free video device. Guardian Alarm. Smart, right from the start. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT.
Woodward Sports. Missed part of the show today? Watch again on YouTube or download the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Back at it, Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network. Neil Rule, 4-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty here in the house. Sawyer and Fish as well. Happy to have everybody along for the ride with us. We'll talk a little more Detroit Lions coming up in just a couple of minutes, but wanted to get to our guest, and happy that we could make it work with my guy, Bryce Simon, the co-host of the Motor City Hoops podcast. In my opinion, one of the best semi-daily basketball podcasts that you're going to find. Bryce was a Division I basketball player at American University, played in the NCAA tournament against Villanova. Impeccable film breakdown, lots of knowledge. I'll just say it like that. Bryce, appreciate your time, and look, man, we'll jump right into it. I know your time is somewhat limited here, but we're going to do the Ben Simmons stuff. D-Mac wants to do it. We're going to do it. We'll get to that coming up in just a couple of minutes. But I do want to focus on Cade Cunningham. Now, certainly last night what happened with the Pistons, you'll see that from time to time going out to the West Coast. But I have to ask you this. Bryce, Cade Cunningham from day one, his first game that he played here for the Pistons, not to today, which certainly has come on a lot as of late. What's the biggest difference in his game?
I mean, the thing was he wasn't making shots early in the year, right? And he started to make shots. You look at the shooting percentages, and they've started to get better. It's still not great, but in November he shot 37% from the field, 29% from 3. since 43%, 38% from three. I think one thing I'm most impressed with, I don't know what you guys think, is he gets into the lane. He gets to the rim and he gets shots, 3 to 10 feet. And that was a part of his game I was a little nervous about. And he's done that at a really good rate because everybody's so, they want to talk about his lack of athleticism, and that hasn't necessarily been an issue. So the turnovers are still probably the biggest area I'd like to see him get better.
Talking to Bryce Simon here. Bryce, before we get into what I want to ask you, what is a realistic, as a Pistons fans, what is a realistic expectation going into the trade deadline, or with where this team's at? Because we all watch and know, kaputs, and this isn't struggling, and it's about the future and stuff like this. But what can we really expect? We all want the splash, whether who leaves, who comes, or whatever. But what is a realistic expectation, in your opinion?
I think we're going to see Jeremy get traded. I really do. I mean, I know that's not like some, hot take or whatever, but I think that we are going to see Jeremy Grant get traded. I don't know if we'll see him play a game or not. He's been designated to the Cruise, and so it'd be interesting to see if they play him a few games before the deadline.
Lots of Cruise love here.
Okay. I was like, I wasn't sure what I said that warranted that, but I appreciate it. So I think what will be interesting, Darren and Neil, is what is the return? Because I think a lot of times as fans, we overvalue our own players, but it sure seems like there's a lot of smoke around Jeremy Grant, and it seems like he's a hot commodity. So maybe we get the return we all think we should get for him.
Talking to Bryce Simon here, the host of the Motor City Hoops podcast. You can get it wherever you get your podcast. He does deep dives, folks. And if you're, I don't want to label it as like a basketball geek podcast or anything like that, but it is in depth. No, it is. But I appreciate it, though. He does film breakdowns and everything. So whatever he says is coming from a base of knowledge. It's not just somebody that taps into a game and has some hot takes, as he talked about. But no, I mean, as you look at the trade deadline and stuff like that, where with the Pistons, with Troy Weaver, and the whole Jeremy Grant trade situation right now, this is where you're at right now, I guess, right, Bryce, where he's at that point in his career where he's going to be a free agent after next year, and a $20 million salary is going to be the new $30 million salary next year in the era when everybody has cap space is going to be the new $20 million salary. That'll just be the way that it goes. So, Bryce, when you look at it from that standpoint, you either have to go to that level, that $30 to $35 million per year, or you have to decide that you want to kind of cash out and get assets right now, right? That's basically the gist of it all.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I've had to rein myself in. At one point, I thought Jeremy Grant was going to be a Piston for life. Like I think I said on my podcast that I thought he would retire a Detroit Piston. Obviously, I'm 100% wrong, but part of the reason I think is the next contract he's going to demand. I also think things changed when Cade Cunningham got drafted. A lot of things changed when Cade Cunningham got drafted, and this is his franchise now. He's the number one guy. And I think every decision that gets made now has to be with Cade in mind and what fits him best. But yeah, I don't think I would have been a fan of giving Jeremy Grant the 4-year, $118 million contract at the end of the current one that's been reported that he wants.
All right. So here's my question.
Get to it, D-Mac. The floor is yours.
And to your point, Bryce, the fact is thank you for answering me that. Because as a Pistons fan, yes, because that shows me direction. They have to move on from Jeremy Grant. He has to be moved because then we can move forward. And then all these other, not delusions, but expectations are what we thought. Now we know, right? And with what we know, and I was saying this to Neil more and more, is, man, as every day, almost every hour gets closer to this Ben Simmons thing, the more sense it makes to me. Now, Neil said yesterday that we got to do whatever it takes to get him, but trade Sadiq Bey. My question to you, Bryce, do we need to do whatever it takes to put Ben Simmons and Cade Cunningham beside each other? Now, we know we're going to need more eventually, but if that's what it takes as the two-pillar guys of the three-pillar league, is that anything it takes, or is Neil more on point to say selectively?
I'm probably leaning a little bit more towards Neil, and I'll tell you guys, I'm a big Ben Simmons fan in terms of if he would be the player that I think he could be and flourish in that role. Like, I don't know how much we want to get into the weeds on this, but I think he's a Draymond Green type role. Like, put him in the ball screen and roll, short roll, attack the basket, make plays. Like, I think, and he's a very versatile defender. So he does a lot of really good things. I think the narrative around Ben Simmons has got overblown. I would have a hard time attaching Saddiq Bey to that deal because you have to put shooters around Ben Simmons. There's no question about it. He can't shoot. We all know it. But I love the idea of Ben Simmons coming to Detroit for the right price, not by any means necessary, though.
Okay.
And I guess, Bryce, my question to you is this then, because I've kind of kicked this back around, and there's obviously a lot of basketball people I talk to on a day-to-day basis, where I was with, look, if you're going to do the Jeremy Grant thing, and I would assume you probably have to attach like a Kelly Olynyk to make the numbers work, because that's how this goes. You got to make the numbers work. That's as the baseline. My stead is with that, and you tell me if I'm crazy, and I'm playing a little fantasy basketball here. I can do that, damn it. I do that. I never do that. I'm doing it right here with Bryce. I'm of the opinion, Bryce, that I literally would do that. And you know the Daryl Morey talks that were out there, and maybe the offer that he turned down, Saddiq Bey with Olynyk and Grant and a protected first. I would take Bey out of that deal. And I know they can't make this trade until the draft pick becomes their own because they technically don't own their draft pick this year. And this is kind of a geeky rule thing we'll get into later. Once that pick conveys, if they have the number 3 pick in the draft, I would move that pick this year with Olynyk and Grant and do the Ben Simmons thing and move on that way. But I'll take Bey back.
Yeah, that one's tough. I like a few of the guys at the top of the draft, so it would really depend on where that pick ends up. Here's where I think the Pistons have a hard time getting something from Ben Simmons from the Sixers. I think the Sixers need a guard. Like, they need a guy that can go get a bucket on the wing, and that's not something the Pistons have. You know what I'm saying? Like, so because you're not putting Cade Cunningham in that deal,
right?
So I don't think the Pistons can put the best offer on the table for Ben Simmons. Now, if that pick landed 4, 5, 6, maybe the guy, again, not to get in the weeds of the draft, but maybe the Jaden Ivey out of Purdue, maybe that guy is exciting to the Sixers, and then you could attach him to Jeremy Grant. That would be something I'd entertain.
All right, where are you at right today, Bryce? Is Ben Simmons become a Piston? We already established Jeremy Grant will be leaving somewhere, or is there another name out there that maybe we don't know, or the Pistons stand pat until all these things are answered as far as moving forward?
I don't think Ben Simmons becomes a Piston. I don't think that's where Jeremy Grant ends up going. The name I really like, and I don't even know if this guy's actually on the market, so this will get, I know we're running out of time here, but I like the idea of putting a package together for Jaylen Brown in Boston. Now, I don't know, like that may be playing fantasy, GM like you said, Neil. I don't know if they're ready to separate those guys or not. I have no idea.
That's what we do on Big D Energy, baby. That's what we do, Bryce. But that's a guy, and I think it's important because you're like you said, you're always diving deep and thinking, and who would work here, right? Because we're hopefully this is the worst it's going to be as a Pistons fan, but there are things in the hopper. How about let's talk about what's going down with Motor City. The team you cover down there, like what about Garza, different guys like that? Are there some guys that are down there that can eventually be a part of the big team? That's a no.
I like Luka Garza.
That's a no. That's
okay. Tread lightly, Bryce.
Sorry, we got bad connection. We got to hit a break. Stuff like that. You said no. That's okay.
No, Bryce. Break it down though, because Garza gets a lot of love. Obviously, on Twitter, gets a lot of love on social media, YouTube chat thread. You break it down for real, man. You do the film study. You do the analysis. You tell me.
He's not very good defensively. Like, he's just not, and like. It's not one of those where people say he's not good defensively and it's like, oh, okay, he's like kind of a negative. He's a big negative. He's not good in ball screen defense. He doesn't protect the rim. I think he's going to have to learn to actually, this is going to sound crazy, but he's going to have to learn to like take charges to protect the lane. He doesn't defensive rebound. If you look at the numbers, he actually has more offensive rebounds than defensive rebounds. So let's transition to the positive. Yes, offensively, he spates the floor. There's no question about that. I understand it. I have questions, Neil and Darren, like, is he really going to be that high level of a three-point shooter? Like I know people are going to think I'm crazy for saying that, and I love his dad. I follow his dad on Twitter, and he does great stuff. And he's talked about how high level of a shooter is, but we haven't seen it play out with the numbers. And he only had 1 year in college where he was over 40% from three. He has to be a major positive on the offensive end to make up for the negatives on the defensive end. I think he's like your third center is kind of what he may end up being, because he does work hard.
No, well, Bryce, man, I appreciate your time coming on here and breaking things down for us. We're definitely going to get you in the regular rotation as things happen, as a trade deadline approaches, as the draft approaches, all that kind of stuff. Like I said, think really highly of your work. I'm not the only one. Lions Rumble 81 on our YouTube chat thread. Motor City Hoops is a great basketball podcast, so there you are. The people love it as well, Bryce, and we'll be reaching out, my friend.
Thank you guys so much. I had a blast. Darren, it was nice to meet you and talk with you. Neil, as always. Love what you guys are doing at Woodward and with Big D Energy. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Bryce Simon, Motor City Hoops podcast, former Division I player at American University. Played in the NCAA tournament as well. Against Villanova.
I never did that.
No, I guess
you did.
I broadcast a couple of NCAA tournaments.
That makes it.
Yeah.
That means you should see how many things we can go into that I claim just because I've been there.
Speaking of NCAA tournaments, does Oakland have a chance to get into the tournament this year?
I think that's the expectation.
Okay,
good.
I think Chance has turned in. Yeah, they're 7-0 in Horizon League play. They beat the defending champions on their floor. Mm-hmm. It's very rapidly becoming the expectation, man. No doubt.
So, I'd like to see them have a big run.
Yeah, tomorrow against Milwaukee. I'll have the radio play-by-play for you, so make sure you check.
I'm still waiting for Coach
out.
Campion to prove something to me. I mean, I'm almost there. I'm almost a believer in him. You know, after all these years.
If only he can hang on for a little while longer,
maybe,
coach a few more games.
I'd like to meet that guy. Seems like a cool cat.
Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I do want to tap back into that whole Lions discussion. Appreciate Bryce coming on, but we'll be back with more Big D Energy right here on the Woodward Sports Network.
Life is full of hard choices. We're here to make one of life's biggest decisions as simple as possible. My name is Christina Gennari, and for over 20 years, I've helped hundreds of families buy and sell homes. We cover all of Metro Detroit and more, from large luxury homes to starter homes. We will work hard to make sure that you get the home of your dreams. So if you're in the market today or even thinking about buying or selling in the future, make the obvious choice. Christina Gennari, the obvious choice in real estate. Visit us at soldchristina.com today.
What's the over-under? Should I tease? Who is the lock of the night? Make sure you're watching Woodward Bets to get the latest in sports betting and more. Woodward Bets daily on Woodward Sports.
Rolling along here, Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network, into the second hour of discussion. Some opinions from the Bryce Simon Motor City Hoops podcast interview. Chuck says Garza's a perfect third center and a great teammate, cheerleader. Just don't expect him to start anytime in this lifetime. And DMAP Zoom says in Detroit we pride ourselves on the defense. And, you know, it's not to say that it can't happen, but Bryce breaks down the film. That's why I have him on. You know, because he studies it, he lives it. It's what he does. So, you know, just getting a little bit of different perspective on everything. And he crushed my dreams, to say that. But every day that goes on, every day that goes on, I become more and more intrigued.
Well, I am too
with the Ben Simmons thing. And maybe it's
but the
like
way that he breaks it down to your reality, right? It's the same thing, right? It's like, Neil. It's like looking at something and I gotta have that, I want that, and then somebody says to you, but do you really need it? And then you're like reevaluating and you go, oh, okay, I'll wait. Right? I'll wait, because where does it get me to where I want to go in the future? Whether we're talking food, we're talking cars, you know, whatever,
right.
Without furnaces, whatever else we're talking about. So sorry about your dreams, but if that's the best thing for the team,
I think it fits well here from a change of scenery to be in Philadelphia, where you were in the conference finals. And certainly things did not go well for him there, but the way that whole game played out and passing up on the shot and all that kind of stuff, and you know, you know this, D-Mac, like you played in the Stanley Cup Finals against the Flyers. That Philadelphia media versus the Detroit media.
No, you're right, or even the fan base, because the fan base would embrace them. There's no question about that, and it's, you know, there's a lot of questions. I see some in the chat line about Ben Simmons doesn't have the Detroit mentality or whatever like that, but here's the thing, if that's not the move to put this team into the next level. And my attitude about shooters, well, kids are shooting all day long. There's shooters to get there. That's to draft shooters and stuff like that. It's more important to have that facilitator, the guy to play down low, the guy to play like Draymond Green. Because of what it allows Cade Cunningham to do. Play on ball, play off ball. It's just going to expand because we see, what have we seen? What have we said about Cade Cunningham this year? Is that the fact that when he wants to, at the end of the game, when the lights are on, he's there. You mentioned that watching him in college. I mean, that's just certain athletes are that way. So what's the best group around him? For me, that conversation with Bryce was more important, the fact that they're going to move on from Jeremy Grant. Right? Because that shows you direction, whether this or that. Because he brought up a great point too, Neil. Last year, year before, you thinking Jeremy Grant's the next Ben Wallace.
Right, and I was actually on the Motor City Hoops podcast before the season started, and he asked me a great question. He said, "Are there any current Detroit Pistons on this team when they win their next playoff game?" And I thought it was a great question. I was like, well, obviously Cade Cunningham,
right?
And then you start thinking about it, and I said Jeremy Grant because at that time, we were thinking about, and I thought it was a little aggressive. You and I had that discussion. I thought it was a little aggressive to say this team's going to contend for that play-in playoff spot, you know, from 7 to 11 in the NBA Eastern Conference. Because I just, you know how I do it, D-Mac? Like, I work backwards from it. I start going through the list of teams in the Eastern Conference. I'm like, well, are they better than Chicago? Are they better than Toronto? Are they better than Charlotte? Are they better than Milwaukee? Are they better than Atlanta? You know what I'm saying? Like, you start... And the answer is no. Like, that's just where they are right now. The answer is no. So, that kind of adjusts
what gets them. And you're right. And when you look at this, there's one untouchable.
Cade Cunningham is truly the only untouchable.
How are you going to build it, right? So you got 5 guys to build it around, right? Right now it's trying to build it 1, no 2, no 3 with a 4, but you don't, you're going to get rid of your 4. Are you going to bring in a 2, a 3, or whatever? How are you going to build this team? I'm more interested in what the character and how, like we're talking about, it's the units, it's the brains. It's not just the one person who's on the same wavelength. Corey mentioned that from his perspective, being at the Lions all the time. Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, and Deuce Staley on the same page, right? Which means chicken and the egg. Brad Holmes feeds them the eggs, and then the chicken hatches, and either way or whatever else, it's the same thing. Because Cade Cunningham, and here's the answer to that, right? Jeremy Grant isn't one of those guys for Cade Cunningham. We're still, who's number 2 for Cade Cunningham, because we don't have them, right? You're saying?
Well, I think Jeremy Grant can be. Just at $35 million a year. You know what I'm saying? Like
I'm putting. Not because you got to understand, I'm not just talking the player. I'm talking everything that goes in. Where are they at with their contract? Where are they at value-wise? Because you've given him $35 million. It's the same thing as the quarterback conversation, right? The Kyler Murray quarterback conversation, right? It's the same sort of thing. You got to decide, are you going to move on because you can? It's almost like the reload. You got the gift of the gift in Cade Cunningham, right? You got everything you want and what you're going to build around it. But this reminds me of like the Red Wings 6 years ago when Dylan Larkin's coming on the scene and there's really nothing else for him. Look at the Wings now.
Right, because they had all the bad contracts that I
That's
talked to you
I'm
about.
saying.
Because Franz Nielsen's making $6 million a year.
Yeah. Where are the Pistons at comparatively?
That's why they're further along, because they have some financial flexibility. Like Blake Griffin's coming off the books this year.
Right, but that's and to Bryce's point about where the draft pick and all the money and stuff like this, that's your bag as far as the capital and what's coming off. So you got to think that Troy Weaver is thinking, okay, this is where I'm going to make my move. And that's why moving forward to ask to know that they're going to move Jeremy Grant along, that's because that money's not being spent then. Those are coming out. So I wonder what their plan is moving forward.
Yeah.
Because it seems like they have a little bit of one. That's why I wondered, is there a buzz about bringing somebody else in under the radar?
You want my I don't want to say conspiracy theory. You want my long play on this? Long play with how the Ben Simmons thing is going to be? Real quick, Sean Murphy says Ben Simmons fits as far as defensive identity goes. He could guard any spot on the floor. Like he's one of the most versatile defenders in the NBA and an NBA Defensive Player of the Year caliber player.
Before you give your conspiracy theory to this, imagine a bought-in Ben Simmons that wants to play, that feels loved.
He's
never had
shoulder,
love in the dressing room and whatever for whatever reason. But I'm just saying, is that not the talent go? But what's your conspiracy?
So Sean says Ben Simmons fits as far as defensive identity goes, but giving up Sadiq Bey and Jeremy Grant as well as the future draft capital would be too much. And that's where my kind of long play / conspiracy theory thing comes in. The Pistons, by book rules, cannot trade the first-round pick this year. It's owned, I believe, by Oklahoma City.
Conspiracy music,
and it's heavily protected as it sits right now. So the league will not let you trade consecutive years first-round picks because the Cleveland Cavs tried that in the 80s, and they traded all their first-round picks forever, and then they were awful. So for me, I am of the opinion where, to address what you say, Sean, with the non-Sadiq Bey, I would pull Sadiq Bey out of that discussion because Kelly Olynyk has to be in a deal with Jeremy Grant because Ben Simmons is a $29 million a year guy. So you got to have the salaries matched to start. So Jeremy Grant and Kelly Olynyk right there, that's your match. I would offer up that first-round pick this year.
Can you say... Neil Rule.
Yeah, I would offer up that first-round pick this year, provided now you can't trade it until it becomes yours, and it becomes yours after the lottery. Then you're allowed to trade it. Now, granted, that's not a number one pick or something like that. It's for me in this draft, it's kind of Banchero or bust. Like there's not. There's not a 1, 2, 3 like there was last year with Cade and Jalen Green and Evan Mobley.
So the NFL draft and the NBA draft are sort of, a little bit of a mirror of each other where it's like, which look at our teams, look at the Lions, look at the Pistons, right? Which it almost imperatively, if you had the quarterback or the top, I'm not going to say it's not worse, but as you're building to see what's ahead. That's why the long play, right? The long play, the conspiracy play, whatever it is, as long as something's in the works, right? That's all. That's what you want. You want something to say, oh, this is the direction we're going.
Well, and Chuck says, are we willing to bet on Simmons being mentally right once he gets here, though? That's the question. You mess this one up and there's no championship run. Well, what's the other play? Like you're in this spot right now. Is it a gamble? Yes. Is it a bit of a controlled gamble? I would also say yes. Because if you're not going to sign Jeremy Grant, then what are you really trading? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a number. He's 25, guys. It's not like, and now someone said we don't want another Blake Griffin. He's 25, man. And defense, he's one of the best in the league at it. So, to me, it's a controlled gamble. It's a gamble.
Great question, because you have to ask that and to say that you don't know. So that's like, hopefully, who knows him, and that's one thing that you're hoping. But you know what I do know?
What's that, D-Man?
You know what I do know? Guys, simple bunch. We like Sunday football, feel the remote in the palm of our hands. Things uncomplicated. Lady Jane's, check it out. Haircut for men. Yep. You, too, can get one just like I did. Walk in, sign in, sit down. Before you know it, your hair is game ready. Lady Jane's open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Why? It's wicked awesome. Neil Rule, D-Mac, Sawyer, Fish, Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network. Wow. We'll be right back.
Everything that we've hoped for, finally.
He's going deep, right side. Oh, that is Edwards out there. He goes up in the air at the goal line.
Hey, it's Greg Edwards here, wanting to welcome the sports marketing agency to Woodward Sports Network, to the family. Glad to have you guys. For the last decade, the sports marketing agency has literally leveraged athletes around issues such as mental health and substance abuse.
It's all happening now.
Putting on a show here, and that's how you answer. We love our sports. We just wish they'd love us back. Detroit sports for Detroit sports fans. Woodward Sports.
It's not what I'm up to, Oakland. It's what it all comes down to. And what it all comes down to is this. Money isn't everything. It's the only thing. And everyone has a price for the $1 Million Man.
Thanks, Sawyer.
Greatest laugh in the history of sports entertainment.
Hey, can we get the $1 Million Man laugh and the Gus Johnson laugh on two different tracks? So, if it's about the money in the bag, we do the $1 Million Man. If it's about whatever else, we do Gus. That's what Ha ha! I love that one though. But dude, thanks for replaying that. We were sidetracked and we saw it out, but I didn't hear it the first time it came down.
Well, that's one of my personal favorites.
Sort take care of talent.
I asked him to run it back. That's why he did. And real low key, when we had Steve Moran on, the owner of the world's greatest wrestling memorabilia collection, Mean Gene Okerlund was getting a lot of love on the YouTube chat thread. And let me tell you this: as a guy that broadcasts, like that's what I do. As a broadcaster, he doesn't get enough credit. He was a great broadcaster. Wrestling stuff aside, it was a great broadcaster. The enunciation, the look into the camera. I mean, he was a Hall of Fame broadcaster.
There's so much to be learned from the old school era, not just by the wrestlers and hanging around a lot of the indies and stuff like that. It's a lot of these guys, these wrestlers and the guys around, the creative, go dig deep and to watch all these guys. And he's like A1 on the list as far as guys,
a great broadcaster.
That great know that, right? And for you to say that, obviously, to recognize what it is ahead more of its time, but there's a lot of different things like that. But he definitely was a trailblazer when it came to the interviews, the broadcasting, the demeanor, the character, the Mean Gene character, right? The way that he dealt with, because you don't think about it, right? I think of Mean Gene Okerlund when I think of Hulk Hogan more than I think anybody else.
Yeah, and Gorilla Monsoon was a great play-by-play guy. Like Gorilla Monsoon would have been great at play-by-play of any sport. He was great. I mean, that's why you saw the
less words, more like great description to be what it is, and because he made you feel. You weren't there, but you could feel what he felt. Yeah,
here's the thing, and D-Mac, and this is kind of like broadcaster elite. Why it worked for Gorilla Monsoon. Here's the thing: he wasn't 100 miles an hour. This is the most important minute in the history of sports. Every single moment of every single match. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's something I'm kind of mindful of. I get excited, no doubt, because I'm happy to be there. Because my parents worked in car factories, and I'm calling a game. I'm calling a game for a living. So yeah, obviously I'm happy to be there.
I got 2 furnaces.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though one's out.
But I was just texted and told that order has been restored. It didn't have a great tone to the text, though. They said that the tech Paul. They said Paul will call you after the show's over. I don't like that.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like the sounds of that. No, but Gorilla Monsoon would get excited at the big moments and when it called for it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why it wasn't. I think when guys are like going 100 miles per hour and jacked up with 6 minutes to go in the first quarter and it's a 13-12 game, I think that's manufactured. I think it's fake, and I think people pick up on that. See, like we always talk, like people say, "Oh, people are stupid. The public's stupid." They're not. Like you know when something's fake for the most part.
Absolutely, and that's the passion of it. And I think it's like love what you love, and I think it's part of loving what you do is how to make it come across, because you're like doing play-by-play, doing color. It's a different paintbrush. Right, so it's what brush do you want to paint, and I talk about this all the time, right? About I come in and I go, do you ever listen to this podcast? Do you ever listen to this? And the 2 Tampa Bay with Phil Esposito, who always talks over his play-by-play, and I think it's the New England Patriots, the color guy. Always, before the touchdown, before the kick's good, right? Where you're narrated and he steps back and he throws touch. Yeah, he's always excited before. That stuff rubs me wrong, but it's sort of, some people might like it, but it's a different style or a different place. I think it's making it your own, because it's the same thing as being an athlete, whether you're on the field, in the arena, in the ring. Being behind the microphone is the same thing.
On a YouTube chat thread, Chuck Brewer says vacation this year's canceled for the Rule household. Yeah, I'm concerned. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm concerned.
Dude, he's dropping that hammer. Yeah, dude, no Disney World kids.
Yeah. Lions Rumble 81, 2 furnaces and a microphone. Neil Rules. Check out a new Neil Rule podcast.
2 furnaces and a microphone.
I got 2 furnaces and a microphone.
He's only got one. He got the second one working. But it's a bad call. So it's like a half. I hate that.
Did want to discuss this too, and I see it's like a sidebar, and I always am paying attention to what you guys are talking about, and sometimes what you guys are talking about I will pick that up, and I will go with it as far as stuff that we're going to talk about. And I see that Aiden Hutchinson talk is a lot of stuff that's going on right now. So, we'll call an audible right now on Sawyer. And we were talking about Pro Football Focus earlier today, and the all-rookie team came out, and there were two Detroit Lions on there. Pro Football Focus's mock draft says that Aiden Hutchinson goes number 1 in their latest mock draft. Now, this is where, for me, that win against the Packers that everybody thought was so great, you still feeling the same way right now? See, that like the bills are coming due now. From everybody, the win against the Packers.
If at the end of the day they're going to take the guy that you wanted, yeah. But at the end of the day, if they don't, no. But yeah, to your point, this is how it affects because you don't have that option, right? You don't have the option of
bingo.
Passing.
That's my issue with it. So everybody that felt good about the win against the Packers, you know what that was? And I'll break this down for you. And Sawyer, you can probably relate because this is going to be a really
good. The only good thing about that I saw, it was Pro Football Focus, so they never get it right.
And Sawyer, you'll appreciate this because I'm sure this happened to you many times in your life. It happened to me many times in my life when I was your age. That win against the Packers was Saturday night at 12:30 at the bar, and you were feeling it.
Yeah.
And you went back in, and you want everyone to get on your level. So you brought the boys around to JMO's.
Oh, another round of Vegas bombs?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're cool, and you justify it to yourself. You're like, hey, man, they're only $8 a piece. There's 4 of us. That's $50, man. So you did it at 12:30. And then at 1 o'clock, you did it again.
Big tipper deal rule. That's what it was. Big tipper deal rule.
Yeah, you did.
Right
So then,
didn't know.
Yeah, the party's still going. The
Kids
party's still raging. You want it to keep going. So you're like, I'll do it one more time. It's $100. Like, I'll slice the $100 up. Then the tab comes, and you pay it, and you move on, and you didn't really think about it. Now the credit card bill's coming due for that win over Green Bay. Because I know that's got to get people upset with, and Cody Engel says Pro Football Focus is a Michigan slap fest. I get how that stuff works. The Block M is very recognizable, and it's good for business for Pro Football Focus. I understand that. But see, guys, this is what I'm talking about. The win over Green Bay was the bar on Saturday night at 12:30, and we were feeling good, and we had a shot, and then we ordered another shot for everybody. But now we're 3 weeks down the road, and the MasterCard bill just hit the mailbox, or the MasterCard bill email just hit. And what do you think, Sawyer? What's the first thing that goes through your mind when you see that bill, the grim reality hit?
Oh, jeez.
That's what I'm thinking. Oh, jeez. It's like going back for that third donut. You
100%.
want it, but it just doesn't work out in the end.
Crispy.
We got
Krispy
donuts?
Kremes. Ooh.
Somebody brought in donuts?
Lions Rumble 81 Vegas bombs. Ooh-wee.
So good. Actually so good.
Fish, you ever have fish don't drink?
I do not.
So all the people that are so big on Hutchinson to the Lions, and why I was okay with it at the time, because we thought, the Jags were probably taking offensive linemen, trying to protect that cornerstone quarterback.
I told you it was Pro Football Focus.
Yeah.
You can't relate on that. But here's the Neil. At the end of the day, right? You should only be in the position. To draft first overall, right? Once every 20 years. Right? Or whatever else. It's the fact that you had the position to have the option, right? You don't have the first option. You get chicken, you get fish, and you get steak. Jacksonville gets first choice. Yeah, I'm good with either one of the three, but what if I wanted steak that day and they take the steak? Right?
See, and that's exactly my point.
Well, I took that out of my hand. That's where it is. So when you're eating chicken and you wanted the steak because Jacksonville took your steak, that's when the bill is paid.
Right, absolutely. And
Sawyer doesn't pay.
Cody Engel.
He pays it right there. He's cash money. There's no credit card back.
Cody Engel on the YouTube chat thread. What's the difference between the number 1 and number 2 pick? KFM says the bill isn't very high. Having the second pick, it lessens the stress of picking the right guy. Absolutely guaranteed that 2 out of 3, Hutch, Tibbs, and Hamilton will be there. I'm 100% fine with that. But again, then who's your guy, KFM?
But again,
who's your guy, Cody? Like, who's your guy?
I think my analogy was great. Chicken, steak, or fish.
Yeah.
And at that day, right, we can all say, I love all three.
And don't get me wrong, the Lions are a hungry.
What do you want? What?
The Lions fan base is a very hungry organization. So you're happy. You're happy eating any one of those three.
Happy to eat, but you don't.
But you've taken the choice away.
But how many days have you woke up, right? What is today? Today's Wednesday. right? Hump day. Anyways, what are you going to eat? Like last night you might have thought, hey, man, I feel like pizza tomorrow, right? Today you might feel like Italian, right? As it goes up, and I know it's building the team and using the analogy, but the whole thing is that going into the draft on that day, give me the bellfish. Thank you. Anyways, right? That day you might really want steak. And hopefully Jacksonville doesn't walk up to the buffet and take the last steak there. Hopefully that's it.
But you're hoping now. You know,
right.
and everyone's jumping in here.
Strategy. You're right, Neil. That's where the bill gets paid.
And that's why, like Jake says, it's not the kind of draft where 1v2 matters. Most are split on Hutch or Tibb. Should be one anyways, and that's a good argument that Hamilton is the best fit for the Lions. And I'll ask all of you guys that are saying this, who's your guy? Who's a guy? If you had the number one pick, who would you take? Well, there's a chance you won't get him because you had the extra shot of JMO on Saturday night at 1 o'clock, and now the credit card bill came due, and you had to pay it. Like that's my question. See, in the moment, everyone overlooks it. But when that credit card bill comes rolling in,
you don't care. You don't care. Like you can sit here and go, "What do you want for lunch tomorrow?" I don't. Give me a turkey sandwich. And then tomorrow's here, and I'm like, man, I want sushi. Man, I don't want that turkey.
Yeah.
So you're gonna make me eat turkey.
So Benji the GOAT responds to my question. He says, "My guy is Hutch because I know he's a kick-asser. You're going to get his all. Gets after the quarterback. Worst comes to worst, could transition to be a pass-rushing 3-4 defensive end. Not saying he will be. Well, all right, Benji. Then you better hope Jacksonville doesn't take him. But you got to hope now.
But hope's not a strategy.
But that's where it is. That's my point. Like the bill is coming due. The bill is coming due. You were talking about steak. You were talking about chicken. Look. Cintron World's an aspirational lifestyle beverage brand with a line of sparkling, flavored energy beverages, premium bottled water, and revitalizer shots, any of which would go good with a steak dinner, I would imagine. The official energy drink of the Red Wings, proud partners with the Detroit Pistons, exclusively served at Little Caesars Arena. If you want premium ingredients, long-lasting energy, balanced hydration, essential vitamins, and great taste, Cintron is the top choice. You can buy online at cintronworld.com, promo code RedWings10. That'll save you 10% with shipping included. It's more than a beverage, it's a lifestyle. Drink it, live it with Cintron.
Hi, I'm Kay Cunningham. I'm proud to partner with Hall Financial, the mortgage company known for 5-star service. Don't just take my word for it. Check out their 5,000 5-star reviews for yourself. Go to callhallfirst.com and get started with your 5-star experience today.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Opinions are like ear holes, and we're putting ours in yours.
Well, that's not winning, Joy.
It's Woodward Sports.
Back at it, Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network coming down the stretch. And D-Mac, I did want to talk to you about this. The NHL has announced their plans to stop testing asymptomatic players after the All-Star break. Man, where did we hear that from before? Huh? They're lucky. You know what? In retrospect, they're fortunate that they had the Olympic break kind of baked into the season.
Played. And you know what? Here's the thing, in looking at it, right? If this helps move forward, get the league back and stuff like this, and it moves us forward in this world with how to understand with the variance in this, and it gets our sports back on, then I'm good with sacrificing and stuff. And because where the Olympics are, because of the political and everything else, this is the perfect time. So I give Gary Bettman, who ruined my game, not my game no more, but I'm not going to, I'll give him criticism, but I'll give him congratulations too, because I thought, I always said that the way they handled the NHL under the bubble for the playoff series before, but they're being proactive here, and they realize with the different variants. And I looked at this. I seen a quote from like Ryan Reeves, who plays in New York, and it's the fact that, okay, we've all done everything we're supposed to do and everything like that, and you're not even sick. You feel like you can play, and you got to miss games. So the science, everything else. I'm just happy that the NHL is being proactive, and this should be a good thing.
No, and that's something where I talked about it.
The frustrating thing, you nailed it. You nailed it before when we talk all about it. I've done everything you've asked me to do.
Everything you've asked me to do, I've done. So if everything's the way you said it is, I've done everything I could do. Draymond Green had a great video about it that went around social media. That's kind of my official statement on it all. What do you got, Fish?
I believe they still have to test, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they still have to test for Canada whether they're vaccinated or not.
Which I get. That's their...
it's all that stuff, but as far as moving the games along, not affecting the rosters, because here's the thing, moving down with the end of the season, the last, quarter of the season and stuff like this, it's a tight enough league as it is. You want to have all your guys available.
Yeah, and that's, I think, too, because we've seen a little bit of slippage in television ratings this year. And I honestly believe, because, look, if we proven anything in America, and you guys have heard my theory on this before, we're a big event society, social media driven, want to be at the biggest events. If our team sucks, we don't want to go because we don't want to be seen there because it'll be a bad reflection on us. I'm not saying that's everybody, but you can't tell me that isn't some people out there. And I found it myself where I haven't watched as much as I have in the past, because when you have 9 guys from the G League on your NBA team, that's not your NBA team. And those aren't the best players. Hockey's the same thing. When Connor McDavid's not playing, I'm not watching the Oilers games. And D-Mac, if I'm home and it's on, it's appointment viewing for me to watch the Oilers.
He's appointment
viewing
There's
for me.
certain athletes that are appointment viewing, and when they're not playing...
I'm not interested.
No, exactly. I think we saw that with how the NBA sort of handled it, and it was just like, oh, hey, sign this, Greg Monroe out of retirement or whatever, sign all these different guys and stuff like this. So hopefully this, as long as this keeps the public health and we're moving forward with everything, but it allows everybody to play, and I see it as a positive, right? Because here's the one thing, you can't make this leap unless you've done all the studies or done whatever, because the bottom line, follow the money, right? Follow the money. The biggest thing these days is to think, what's the lawsuit? So the fact that they can move forward with this tells me that things hopefully are getting better, at least in the NHL.
Cody Ingalls says NHL ratings suck because it's rarely on basic cable. Well, ESPN and TNT have weekly.
NHL ratings suck because hockey's the toughest game to watch on TV. If you don't learn it, once you go live, you're locked in.
Yeah,
that's and they don't market it well enough, and I do notice that, because I see that too now with the ESPN, but people we can't, like in the back old days, turn on channel 50, you knew where it was, right? You got to go seek it out now, and it's frustrating, and I understand that. I listen to more games than I watch.
What, really?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Preference to a lot of things and a lot of things that I'm doing, but it's a lot easier to pay attention because I can shut. You know how it is. I can throw it on and listen and do a million other things.
Listen
and
passively,
still know what's going on, right? To whatever else. And here's the thing, right? Where you talk about, not to loop it back around to play-by-play and analyst, but Ken Cal does a phenomenal
job. One of the best in the
town, of levels.
Right.
Through his excitement where the game's at. Where Woodsy not so much, because Woodsy's explaining, but Woodsy's is going to give you the meat and potatoes behind everything.
But he's not the play-by-play guy. That's his job.
No, right to the Gorilla Monsoon. That's why to me it's tag teams. It's not just the color guy. They're great tag teams. We see it to the ones you like, you don't like. You like the Romos and the and the Nance, or you like the Buck and the Aikman. You like there's different guys that you just like because of the way they narrate the story. But I do find, I do. I don't know why that is. Maybe just because I'm always doing stuff, but I find it easier to stay, because then I don't have to watch, turn off, turn this, you know what I mean, go from here, go from there. I can always listen to it.
I know we check in on this from time to time with you, and this is kind of off script a little bit, but D-Mac, again, if I make D-Mac the commissioner for a day, what's the one, and I'm going to give you one thing that you can do. What is the one thing that you would do that, in your opinion, would raise television ratings? What's the one thing? And I know it's kind of a loaded question, and it's kind of a massive question where you got to pick out one single thing. But as you sit there and think about it, what would you do? One thing.
I would try to find a way, right? If you want to give it to the masses, you got to make it easier for them to follow. Now, we mentioned that I thought it was a great step with the ESPN and stuff like this, but I think, if you could find a way to put it on public access, right? Like put a game, the select game that you knew, just like we're talking wrestling back in the day.
So you're talking about like a network broadcast,
I would find
like
somebody
ABC
that would try
broadcast.
to do. You see this in the independent wrestling now with more things, because here's the thing: it's the toughest game to teach you on TV. If I take you live or you go to a live game, you will seek it out. Right. And you will watch it differently. So I have to make it easily accessible into different markets and maybe play, the game of the week. I'm 50 years old. Tuesday nights I watch Curse of Oak Island religiously, right? You know what I'm saying? I could find people can appointment viewing for different things like that, or just to have it on. So it'd be accessibility. I gotcha. Sawyer, I had a question for you, and somebody asked this in the YouTube chat thread. This was a while ago back when the show was going on. I think it was when we were doing one of the interviews. Somebody equated draft capital to Settlers of Catan and said that you can't have more than 7 assets in Settlers of Catan, because if you do, you lose one of them when someone rolls a 7.
Yeah, because there's like a burglar. That's like part of the game. So if you roll a 7, like whoever rolls it like becomes the burglar. So then they can go on your property, and if you have more than 7 cards, then they can either like take a random card, or you can like barter with them to get them off your land. So yeah, it's like you get punished for winning almost.
Yeah. So the Oklahoma City Thunder, who I think have, I want to say 36 draft picks in the next 5 drafts or something like that.
Jeez.
So they would be living dangerously in Settlers of Catan. Right?
Oh yeah,
they essentially are Settlers of Catan, because you can't have that many people on your roster.
Yeah,
so they will
have you but it's just a big risk. Like, yeah, they're in big trouble if the robber comes around. Somebody rolls a 7, then it could be dirty.
Maybe we can get Troy Weaver them dice, man.
Yeah, start rolling.
Start rolling them dice.
Oh, yeah.
You know what?
You know what else? You know it's not going to be a roll of the dice?
Here's the thing. What Settlers of Catan does not have that would protect from the burglar? You know it. You love it. Guardian Alarm gets it. A good defense on and off the field. Helps you feel secure. Guardian Alarm is state-of-the-art technology that helps you feel safe. All with 24/7 monitoring, like from the phone. You can like unlock the door, let the kids in, lock the kids out, whatever, check the temperature, control the lights, do whatever else. It'll even tell you if your house is on fire or that deadly killer carbon monoxide. So if you want to be part of the Big D Woodward Sports Network family, you can, but you have to give them a call. 1-800
Stay out.
That's 1-800
Stay out.
1-800
Stay out. Get out of my house. Get away. I don't want you there. Bye.
Wow, that sounds
Get
like
away.
Fish is sitting on the porch in the fishbowl with that shotgun on the teeter-totter right now. Wow, that is unbelievable. Yes, call 1-800-STAY-OUT today. That's 1-800-STAY-OUT. Guardian Alarm has been trusted for over 90 years of keeping families safe. Guardian Alarm, your local security expert.
Bye-bye.
Tell them Big D Energy sent you. We'll be right back.
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
The pros know. Go! Listen Monday through Friday for Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network with Stanley Cup champ Darren McCarty, former Lion Joik Bell, and the silky voice of Neil Rule.
Final segment of the show, Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network, Neil Rule, D-Mac, Darren McCarty here in the house. Don't forget, follow Woodward Sports Instagram, Twitter, You're already probably watching on YouTube, as we said right now, the YouTube chat thread. Always on and popping, Facebook, Twitch, etc. Don't forget about the Big D Energy podcast on the iTunes Store, Google Play Store as well. Wherever you get podcasts, subscribe to that. Latest episodes go right to your phone, rewind, fast forward, all of that. I'm taking some heat. I always am. Where was it here? Oh, yeah. DJ says, it's hard to take anyone serious who honestly thinks that a team should tank. Yes, as fans, we may say that, but as a player, regardless to your record, you never want to lose. And DJ, I've never said that. I've never advocated for a player throwing an interception or fumbling a ball on purpose. They got to make a living. I understand that. I just root for the outcome. The second I know the team can't go to the playoffs, you're penalized for winning as far as your draft opportunity goes. Again, don't be mad at me. I'm just being analytical about it. I didn't make it that way. That's just the way the system is. What? And you can't defeat that argument. Once you cannot make the playoffs. You never
said tank. You're saying this is what happens when you win.
Yeah.
These are,
I like it that way even better.
When you win, there's positives and negatives of everything in life, right? This is the fact. And here's the thing, Neil. It's the fact that you're only supposed to be at the top of the draft in the one spot once every 20 years if you're a great organization, right? So the fact that you're that low and not there, it's because it's the old, you're going to have to decide that day it's fish, chicken, or steak, and Jacksonville gets the first choice.
Yep, and they're going to take the steak. Like that's
if that's what you don't know, you think they are,
right?
But it doesn't matter what you want. You have to bob and weave off of what they do.
Yeah, and Patty Grimes says, I thought we trusted Brad Holmes. He will get a good pick at number 2. He will.
Yes, it's not the point. It's the point that somebody's going to be off the menu. There's going to be one less thing on the menu for Brad Holmes, and I hope that's not what he wanted to eat when he walked in there that morning.
Absolutely. Neil, the Lions are picking at 2, not 20. Calm down. Brad Holmes has shown that he can find talent. Why are we sweating over dropping to number 2 and in there? And because if we wanted the steak, we're not going to get it.
At the end of the day, there's a menu, and one of those items will not be there to be selected. I just hope that that's not the one Brad Holmes in his heart of hearts wanted.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Here's a good one here as we ride out. Lomas Brown. The Lions, their last playoff win was over the Cowboys at the Pontiac Silverdome. We talked about it back in 1992. Lomas Brown described the locker room after that playoff win. I was in the building. I remember how hype it was. I was there with my dad. Lomas Brown said, "Oh my gosh, that thing was on point. Other than winning the Super Bowl, I don't think I've ever been in a locker room that was as crunk as our locker room was." Tim Allen, he was there. It was off the chain. Sawyer, do you know what crunk means?
Wait, hold on. Before you say that, I never thought I'd hear crunk and Tim the Tool Man in the same sentence. Tim Allen and crunk. Well, I guess it was 90s, so he was crunk back then.
I was going to say, Tim Allen got in some trouble back in the day being pretty crunk.
Yeah, so you do know what crunk means.
Yeah. Do the kids use crunk anymore?
No, not at all.
I knew
it's
the
more
answer.
like getting lit, probably.
Yeah.
You're turning up.
Dope, hype. Yeah, it's lit.
Yeah.
Crunk is
getting drunk. I guess they say that a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, but here's why I talk about it, and here's where I bring it back. D-Man, can you bring everybody inside of that situation? Now, the Lions were going to the NFC Championship. I would equate that to where, if that happened, Lions fans, I think, would be in the same stratosphere as when the Red Wings won the first cup. I think it would be, obviously it wouldn't be to that, but it would be in that stratosphere. What was that locker room like? After you guys
it was
won?
all Joe Louis, and it was before it was redone. And I think if you watch like the Russian Five or you watch old footage, it's just all of us pouring booze all over Ray Lane and shaking up all the champagne and honestly, most claustrophobic place. Like it was, there's no room in there, but it was such everybody, the energy in there, and then everybody. Something that you'll never forget. And a lot of the things I was fortunate up with, like the first one is where you go back because it's coming up on 25 years, it's the pictures. My grandma was there. A couple of my buddies that aren't here anymore were there, and they could experience it. But it was something that, whether it was there, whether it was in Washington, whether it was home, so the dressing room was redone for the 02 one, and then, or whether it was in Pittsburgh for 08. And it's always the moments that, like, that you remember. Like, you remember, so when we won 97, it was just all chaos. So it was like everybody, family, friend, like from right away. So the guys never had time till later after, when we went to Big Daddy's in West Bloomfield about 3 a.m. and had our party there and stuff, as opposed to like in Pittsburgh in 08, where everybody was in the back training room, which was like half the size of this room, but we were all doing ole, 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 and spraying champagne and having that moment there. So that was important. But that's the same thing, because it's the accomplishment, the excitement, and being a part of it. The thing that you watch there, what Loman said or whatever, it's the city feeling a part of it, and the team part of the city. That's what it is. It's a connection, so it'll be that big.
Because I remembered it was a lot like, and this is what struck me about the Bengals winning the playoff game the other night. Nobody left. Yeah, and that's how the Silverdome was.
Appreciation, and you see that. And I got a couple buddies that are Bengals fans, and you could see that the love and appreciation to something that hadn't happened before in their lifetime in history, but the appreciation, and I love that, and I think that the people of Detroit would appreciate it. Hold on, before we leave, I'll be back next Tuesday and Wednesday. This chair is still not fixed. I'm a man of my word, so unless you might want to set up a Fish, I don't need. This is not a what do they call those things?
Butt-in?
This is, not a butt-in. This is not a city council meeting or whatever. You don't get the floor. This is me saying, I'm letting you know. Tuesday and Wednesday, you don't have a problem. It's that next Monday. If I walk in here and it's not, I promise, I'm man of my word. That's all I got to say. So, and whatever it is, I don't care. Get it done. Have a great Wednesday. See you guys next Tuesday.
For D-Mac, Darren McCarty, Sawyer, and Fish, my name is Neil Roll. Thanks, everybody, for tapping in to Big D Energy here on the Woodward Sports Network.
Deuces.
Well, see you later.
Gang, gang.